say a huge thank you to you, and I'm very proud to have been made one of your patrons. If I get a bit emotional, forgive me, but goodness, it's been a tumultuous week in politics, and it's not just in the UK, it's also in the European Parliament, and I can say to you that 11 plus times every single day a politician from another country will come to me and they will say, please stay, we want you to remain. And I don't know, it's on my Twitter, and by the way, I'm at Theresa MEP, not at Theresa May. It happens all the time. You will see what a Dutch singer-songwriter put out this week, which I received at 8 o'clock on Thursday morning before I went into plenary. If you haven't seen it, do look at it. It made me cry.
Me too.
Thank you. I'm glad it wasn't just me. Amazing stuff. So we are surrounded by love. And as Mary said, you know, the beginning of this wonderful project was actually about peace in Europe. And an awful lot of other countries get that because quite recently they have been living under extreme dictatorship. So they get the motivation being peace in Europe. And they also get, quite frankly, if Brexit is bad for the car industry in Ellesmere Port and Eston, it's bad for the car industry in Cologne. They get the reciprocity. Every single country and every party apart from the far right. And it's in our gift up to March the 29th to remain, if we so wish to. I agree with an awful lot of what Connor has just said, but in the run-up to the election, I think, Connor, you and I have had this conversation, a certain broadcaster bid for me to go on, and I wanted to talk about the interdependence between Ireland and the UK in terms of energy and the interconnectors. And what did they do? This was in the run-up to the referendum. They pulled me and they put on a UKIP climate change denier instead. And a lot of that is about better television, quotes, unquotes. And in terms of Ireland, if I tell you my full handle is Theresa Mary Bernadette, you can probably gather my heritage. But I have family in Derry and in Donegal. 30,000 people cross between Ireland and Northern Ireland and back again every single day to shop, see their family, work. There are 13 cross-border health services. It was my privilege to work on the peace process. So, God forbid, if you have a heart attack in Donegal, you're taken to the nearest specialist provision in Derry. You don't have to go down an N road, funded by European Investment, I hasten to add, all the way to Galway, 2.5 hours. Now, nobody can tell me at the moment what happens in these circumstances. And trust me, because my family keep asking me, I was in Donegal in the summer, I have been asking these questions since the day after the referendum. And I do consistently, no, I won't make that joke. I do consistently do the phone in on Radio Foyle, which is Radio Derry. What we've done this week, it's not in the public domain, but I will tweet it soon as it is in the public domain. After the scenes in our Parliament this week, we have written a cross-party, I stress cross-party letter to the Parliament, to Tajani, actually asking for the Parliament to take unilateral action in actually saying that citizens' rights are secured. And that's the rights of citizens throughout Europe, and also for them to negotiate with the UK, because I think it's a disgrace that people have been used as bargaining chips, and that, quite frankly, people weren't told that they had rights the day after the referendum. It was in the gift of the UK government to do that, and I happen to believe that there would have been reciprocity. the member states. Why did I get involved in politics? I wasn't going to say this, but Connor, you reminded me of something. Why I got involved in politics was because my father, who's Irish, bless him, he passed in May, was a car machinist in British Leyland. And he was made redundant when I was 14, and he didn't find a job again until I was 17 and a half. And that's why I got involved in this wonderful project, which is Europe, because I was Chair of Economic Development for Liverpool in the 1990s, when in the 1980s, a Tory minister, no disrespect to any Conservatives in the room, had actually said that Liverpool, my city, could go into managed decline. And guess who invested in Merseyside? Because we went over the heads of the government and we went to Europe, and in 1994, believe it or not, Merseyside was one of the poorest regions in Europe. And we have had billions of pounds of investment from Europe in our training, in our infrastructure. And then in 2008, Liverpool became European Capital of Culture, which had a massive impact, not just on Liverpool, but on the entire city region. You know, and we're in a stage now, because of Brexit uncertainty, that Jaguar Land Rover, a major employer in my region, has said that it will cut 5,000 jobs. I want everybody in my region, as Connor has said, to have access to well-paid work. I want them to have affordable housing. I want our young people to have the ability to live and work throughout Europe. 16 to 18-year-olds were denied a vote in the referendum, and it's their future. I happen to think that was a disgrace. And just before the referendum, I walked into a meeting in the European Parliament, and a UK politician, I won't say of which hue, said the best thing about coming out of Europe is we can get rid of this unnecessary health and safety legislation. And I happen to believe, and I know that everybody in this room believes, that every worker has got the right to leave their family in the morning with the expectation that they will come home safe to their families at night. Health and safety legislation born in the European Parliament. Just 4 pieces of legislation I've been working on, and I will be brief. And obviously I sit on the trade union intergroup in the European Parliament. If anybody, has anybody been outside the UK, in the rest of Europe, in the past year? Yeah. Have you noticed that your mobile phone bills have come down? Roam like at home legislation was born in the European Parliament, and it was by 28 countries working together that we could take on big business. We wouldn't have achieved that as one country alone. Second piece of legislation that I have championed is energy poverty. We have got people in Newton-Le-Willows in 2019 that are too frightened to put their heating on. And we have got people who are elderly or long-term sick in Spain and Malta that are dying in the heat because they're too frightened to put their air conditioning on. Now, we have done a major piece of work on energy poverty, and now fighting energy poverty and the right that people cannot, because they're vulnerable, be disconnected automatically. We have got that in European legislation. When I asked the ministers of this government whether that was going to be enshrined in EU law, they couldn't answer me. Are we going to be part of the internal energy market? They can't answer me. When I asked, and MPs from throughout the Northwest supported us in this, the day after the referendum, to see the economic impact of what coming out of Europe would mean for Merseyside, guess what? They hadn't done one. And that's the situation we're in. And I'm sure there are several trade unionists in this room. And you know, when you've got a dispute with management and then you broker a deal on behalf of your workforce, you take that deal back to the workforce so they can see what you have negotiated and they vote on the terms of the deal. Where is the 350 million that was on the side of the red bus for our NHS. We have got over 100,000 EU nationals working in our precious health service and over 100,000 vacancies. We had a Polish resident of Manchester on a tram recently who has lived here for over 15 years, paid his taxes, contributed to society, and he was asked, 2 children with him, on that tram to go home. That is some of the situation that has been enabled to be evolved, and what we have to do is work together now to solve this in solidarity with our communities. And as Conor said, people voted leave and we have to respect their reasons for voting leave. But quite frankly, what we now know is that people were lied to, that the information didn't get out there. Then rather me being able to talk about the dependence of Ireland on the UK for its energy supply, keeping the lights on and the dialysis machines running in our hospitals, they wanted to put on a UKIP climate change denier. We know that we cannot solve climate change as one country acting alone. Friends, I agree with Conor. If we don't have a general election, and I think the numbers are looking highly unlikely because in the vote of no confidence this government was propped up by the DUP, then I think we have got to give people a say on the final terms of the deal. Do they want this deal for their families, their communities, our region and our country? Or now, with lots more evidence, do they want to vote to remain? Thank you.